Hey, English 1102 friends, this is a video taking you through two poems, Will You by Carrie Fountain and Good Bones by Maggie Smith. Both of these poems are these sort of ethical question poems, and Will You is a direct question, obviously. But both of these poems take you through these sort of ethical questions, and the thing they obviously have in common is they're both interested in kids and the experience of children and the way that children sort of interact with the world and sort of are unbogged down by practical problems so they can think about ethics in this sort of cleaner way that you can't later when you're an adult. Will You starts from this very concrete basic situation. When at the end the children wanted to add glitter to their Valentines, I said no. I said, nope, no glitter. And then when they started to fuss, I found myself saying something, and this is where you get the sort of adult versus kid perspective, saying something my brother's football coach used to bark from the sidelines when one of his players showed signs of being human. Come on now, suck it up. That's what I said to my children. Suck what up? My daughter asked. And again, the kid takes it literally and is like, what are you talking about? Because she is so young, I told her I don't know, and never mind. She took that for an answer. My children are so young. When I turn off the radio as the news turns to counting the dead or naming the act, they aren't even suspicious. And so again, the children are sort of fresh and innocent, and they don't know the sort of harsh realities of life. They don't understand expressions like suck it up. My children are so young they cannot imagine a world like the one they live in. Their God is still a real God, a whole God, and I think they think I work for that God. And I know they will someday soon see everything, and they will know about everything, and they will no longer take never mind for an answer. And then she jumps back to the Valentines, because the world is so harsh and so dark, the Valentines would have been better with glitter. And my son hurt himself on an envelope, and then much later when we were eating dinner, my daughter realized she'd forgotten one of the three Henrys in her class. How can there be three Henrys in one class? I said, and she said, because there are. And so, before bed, we took everything out again, paper and pen, stamps and scissors, and she sat at the table with her freshly washed hair. Again, this sort of kids are fresh and new and have a clean perspective. Will you be mine, Henry T? And she did it so carefully I could hardly stand to watch. And so what you get is the sort of worn down, jaded perspective of the mother, and then the sort of basic kindness of the kids who are like, we forgot to be nice to this one kid. And the mother sort of acknowledging that they should have used glitter. The Valentines would have been better with glitter. That becomes this sort of, we need to make things, whenever you have a chance to make things better and be nice to people and make things pretty as they can be, you should. Because there's enough harshness and darkness in the world. And what people need to do is try to be as nice and kind and thoughtful as they can be, the way the kids are in this poem, and not say things like suck it up like the mom does. You get the sort of contrast of the mom's perspective and attitude versus the kid's perspective and their sort of kindness and thoughtfulness. And so to go back to the title of the poem, the Will You, it's the will you be kind? Will you be thoughtful? Will you be like the kids, or will you be like the mom? And this just sort of worn down cynicalness. You get the same sort of attitude in Good Bones by Maggie Smith. She takes this common expression for houses, if you've ever watched any of those home renovation shows or you do renovations yourself. Good bones is something people say when it's like, oh, the house is kind of a mess, but it's got good bones. This is structurally sound. We can strip it apart and, make something nice out of it. And that becomes this metaphor for what your approach to life should be. That the world and society has good bones, but we need to build something better on top of the good bones. Life is short, though I keep this from my children. Life is short, and I've shortened mine in 1,000 delicious, ill-advised ways that I'll keep from my children. The world is at least 50% terrible, and that's a conservative estimate, though I keep this from my children. And so you get this, like, the harshness and the darkness of the world. She's keeping it from her kids, just like the speaker in Will You is. It's like, my kids still don't know this, and that's a good thing. For every bird, there is a stone thrown at a bird. For every loved child, a child broken, bags sunk in a lake. Life is short, and the world is at least half terrible. And for every kind stranger, there is one who would break you, though I keep this from my children. And you get that refrain that she comes back to. I'm trying to sell them the world. Any decent realtor walking you through a real shithole chirps on about Good Bones. This place could be beautiful, right? You could make this place beautiful. And that's what this poem comes down to, is this place could be beautiful. You know, the world and society, the world that we live in, has good bones. What we need to do is and it could be beautiful, and what we need to do is make this place beautiful. And that's what she's trying to do for her kids. And that's what everybody is sort of obligated to do, is to try to make this place beautiful, to try to make it better than the sort of half terribleness that it really is. And so you get this part of what's happening in the world and in life is the world has good bones, but it's our job to make them sort of beautiful and better than they are, to make something happier and better on top of the good bones that we all are born into. So if you have questions about Will You, and I think it's no coincidence that both of these use kids, because you have this sort of fresh, uncynical, unjaded perspective that you get from the kids in both of these poems. So if you have questions about either of these poems, Will You or Good Bones, just be in touch with me. Otherwise, I hope this is helpful to you. Thanks, everybody.